But what about Spread My Wings? Did you spend time with the guys before?
No, well, no, yeah, I did because I worked on the first album with them, so I already knew them.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with them on their very first record. I did a song called My Heart on their first record, and I did another one
Okay.
called She's My Favorite Girl. Those are the only two songs I did on the record, on their first record. So I
Okay.
already knew what they were about, you know. And working with Steve, I already knew because Steve came on to my house every day and worked with me in the studio. That's my little bro. I love that dude, man. He was like, he reminded me of myself growing up, just being a
Oh,
sponge and just kind of
oh,
watching everything that you do. That's the
yeah.
type of person Steve was. Steve was, you know, I do stuff in the studio or I do something, and he'd be like behind me, and I just hear him. He'd go, Ugh, like, yeah, oh, okay. He's saying that to himself as he's checking out what I'm doing. He's like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing. Okay, let me write that in my mental,
Uh,
document. So Steve, that's why I had Steve around me so much because he reminded me of myself. You know,
wow.
he was the one that really wanted to see how records were made and how they were done and how, things would, how they just gelled. He see me pick up all these instruments and play, and how I, stack musical instruments on top of drum beats and stuff. He see me. He was there. He actually experienced it. So that really motivated him,
Oh,
to want to do it
okay.
myself.
And they're from Pasadena, so but you didn't know them. I mean, you kind of LA's big,
No, no,
so
I didn't know them prior to that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know them, but it was Sylvia is the one that actually signed them, and she's the one who told me, "Hey, I have this group I want you to work with." So I said,
Okay.
"Okay." She said they're from
Yeah.
Pasadena, so that wasn't far from where I lived.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I just, yeah, I go pick up Steve. I used to pick him up from school, and I remember all of that. And he would just say, "Hey man, play that record that you did, so," and then I would just play it over, and he would just sit there, and he would just listen, and he was like, "Man, how did you get the blend, boy? How did you know? How did you pan your background vocals? How many vocals did you use on?" I mean, he was just really,
Voila.
he really wanted to know. And me being the person that I am, I'm like, sure. I said, when we get to the house, I'll show you how I did it. Just showing him, and he was just like, "Wow, it's cool." He just picked it up. You know.
So, for the I was in Nigerian Troop came out, and I used to think that these were dancers because breaking had come out, and so break dance and dancers were big. We used to think that they were dancers who could sing, as opposed to that's how good we rated their dancing. We didn't realize.
Right.
I mean, you think about people thinking, "Oh, these are dancers who know how to sing," as opposed to these are singers who can dance. That's
Dance.
how
Yeah.
much we just. And then I've spoken to a lot of people who just said how even DOA said that they on tour that they were really hard workers. Just what was it like just recording with them and it seemed
Super hard workers. Them boys put in work. I'm sorry. I've worked with New Edition. I've worked with a lot of acts. I've worked with a lot of groups. Troop, to me, put in the most work and never really got the recognition that they deserved because they put in a lot of work. I seen it, hands down. And I'm not even talking about the dancing. I'm talking about being in the studio and sing this part, do this part. They were all on one accord in that sense. They were all about it. They were about it. Like, Chuckii, what can we do? Or John used to come to me and say, well, Chuck, we kind of already working out choreography, but you have me singing this part and I won't be able to do this, and I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? Let me change that a little so you can do your thing here.
wow.
We'll put
Only
a
thinking ahead.
Yeah, we'll put a ooh and a ah after the fact, because he said, we want to do something right here. Is that okay with you? Is that something you can work with? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how dedicated they were. People don't give them enough credit. Troop is some bad boys. Of
Yeah.
course, New Edition gets all the recognition. Every year it's New Edition. Every year it's New Edition. It's New Edition. It's New Edition. I get it. I get it. However, Troop is right there with when I'm talking about performing, singing, doing the whole dancing. Man, come on, man.
Yeah.
And New Edition is my boys. Those are my guys.
Did you do anything with them? Huh?
I was their musical director for their Home Again tour. I did that. I put that entire show together. You know, the tour where Bobby came out there with a fire hose. It was shit. Me and D was there for all of that.
Okay, I saw when you guys came to Milwaukee back in '98. So, and then with Blackstreet.
I wasn't there then. I did the tour in 95. Yeah.
Oh no.
The Home Again tour went for a while. I don't know how long it went, but
the Home Again. Is it the Home Again tour came out? The album came out in '96, and they did the tour '97.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. I did TLC in '95. I did TLC in 95, and yes, Home Again was '96. You're right. I stand corrected. Yes, it was '96. Yes.
So you put the stuff together and started off with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that was all Ralph, JG. They called me and said, "Hey man, since you pretty much I had already worked with Johnny. The only person I really didn't work with was Bob and BBD. So, but everyone else I worked with, so they felt like, Chuckii would be the best guy to come in here to put the show together because he worked with the majority of the guys, But that tour was fire. That tour was crazy, crazy dope, wild, crazy tour, but it was cool.
No, it's my favorite tour I've ever been to. Not because I was a big 702 Open. I was a big Teddy and Blackstreet fan, but
yes,
to see Bobby come and do his thing, Johnny doing stuff, and Ralph do, then BBD, then all of them, and it was like they could have just done that tour on their own. They didn't need anyone else. But
no, because I mean, we had a couple of different lineups, but I think for one of the lineups the one that was really fire was Keith Sweat.
Yeah, Keith Sweat. Yeah, Keith fit in. Yeah,
Sweat. Queen Pen actually. Yeah. And was it 702? I don't know if it was
702 open up. They were kids.
It was 702.
Yeah, 702. Keith Sweat.
It was like 702.
Keith Sweat. Blackstreet and then New Edition.
Yeah. That was it. That was the tour, man. And Queen Pen came in. She rocked it. Yeah, she rocked it. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you love what you watched, there's over 100 artists that we've interviewed. So please check out the videos. Remember to like, share, and unsubscribe. But better still, become a member of Halftime Chat and get exclusive videos ahead of time. But thanks for watching. Take care.